more than half a dozen drug smuggling vessels in the Caribbean blown into oblivion.
They have faster boats. I mean, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles.
A threat to expand U.S. anti-drug military operations from sea to land.
President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice.
And now a dramatic escalation, authorizing the CIA to engage in clandestine anti-government operations inside the South American country.
President Trump is going to do whatever it takes and use all the tools in the toolkits from the intelligence community, from the Department of War, and of course diplomatically to defend U.S. sovereignty.
What is going on with Venezuela and Trump's armed conflict with the country's drug cartels? Here's everything you need to know. In August, President Trump secretly authorized the U.S. military to use force against Latin American drug cartels, classified as foreign terrorist organizations. One of the gangs included in the classification list was Tren de Aragua, one of Venezuela's most dangerous criminal organizations. Gangbangers from the Venezuelan group made headlines in the U.S. in 2024 when suspected members unleashed chaos at a Colorado apartment complex and sparked a wave of violent crime. In a show of force to combat the cartels, which Trump blames for flooding American communities with fentanyl and other illicit drugs, the administration sent U.S. warships into Venezuelan waters.
A combination of two major factors have come into this that have why this has stepped up. Because the drug flow, Maduro, Tren de Aragua, this is not news. This has been going on. It's a narco state. But what is news, we have a president that has now put the drug trade and fentanyl and what's coming into the country as a number one priority. Number two, this Tren de Aragua issue is real. Maduro is in the drug business, in the narco business. So there is an interest here among the parties to solve political pressure on Maduro in the country while giving Tren de Aragua access to the United States to set up like M13 and M19 and the other organizations that are here from Central America. What has changed is a difference in policy that is really going to try to step this up for the United States.
But Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro wasn't happy with the U.S. deployment, calling it an illegal regime change attempt. 2 Venezuelan military aircraft even flew over a U.S. Navy ship, conducting counter-drug operations in the area, in what the Pentagon described as a highly provocative move.
But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can, you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do, all right?
Sure. How close did they get? You said the planes did.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shot down.
Trump has been critical of Maduro's leadership and doesn't recognize the dictator as legitimate. This past summer, the administration placed a $50 million bounty on the leader's head to face outstanding drug charges in New York. According to one survey exclusively shared with the Post, most Venezuelans don't even consider Maduro legitimately elected after the dictator stole the country's past 2 elections. Reports have even started circulating that Maduro is training civilians in the country for a militia to combat Trump's threats. According to reports from AFP, thousands of citizens were seen in Caracas receiving a day of lessons on weapons handling and other revolutionary resistance tactics in response to Trump's warship deployment. Trump even shared video on Truth Social of an alleged Venezuelan militia training event with the caption, "Top secret, we caught the Venezuelan militia in training, a very serious threat." Though unclear whether the president was being sarcastic or was sharing genuine concern, the video focused in on an overweight woman running with an AK-style rifle during the supposed civilian training. But the Trump administration has not been all talk and no action on the South American country's drug smugglers. On September 2nd, Trump made a dramatic and unexpected announcement to the press in the Oval Office on the dispute between the 2 nations.
When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago. And
in a subsequent post on Truth Social, the president published a video of the attack, asserting the craft's occupants were members of the Tren de Aragua criminal gang.
This attack, or the sinking of this particular ship, that was significant, but the significance of the type of military engagement and the stepping up of our Navy, particularly in the region, is an indication that we are prepared to draw maybe attacks in Venezuela proper and take out certain facilities. We used to use a phrase a long time ago in Washington is flexing our military muscles, and that's what we're doing.
And that was only the beginning of Trump's conflict with the cartels and the U.S., flexing its military muscles. In the subsequent weeks, the Trump administration continued their defensive maneuvers, wiping out more than half a dozen drug smuggling vessels at sea in coordinated strikes.
The president's been very clear that he's going to use the full power of America and the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels, no matter where they're operating from and no matter how long they've been able to act with impunity. Those days are over.
Venezuela's government even requested an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council because of the strikes. Maduro claimed that there would be an armed attack against Venezuela in a very short time.
What's the next step in this war on cartels, and are you considering strikes on land?
Well, I don't want to tell you exactly, but we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control.
The Trump administration has told Congress that the U.S. is engaged in a, quote, non-international armed conflict with drug cartels. The Department of War told lawmakers that the trafficking gangs who were targeted in airstrikes were now designated as combatants waging an armed attack on America because of a deadly surge of drug overdoses. In further escalation, the commander-in-chief upped the ante against the South American country. In an unprecedented announcement, Trump confirmed to the press that the U.S.'s intelligence officers were also joining in the mix.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged
Well, I can't do
drug busts in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorize for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America at a level that probably not many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela.
Trump is a unique president in a unique situation. I was also trying to think if this has ever been just announced before. Hi, we're sending the CIA into this country. I mean, normally the CIA officers, you want to be very under the radar. I'm sure there were some collective groans in Venezuela by some of our CIA people. On the other hand, what Trump may be doing, if you want to try to get in his head here, is scare the Maduro administration a little bit, make them back on their heels, make them fear that something's coming, whether it's coming or not. Trump can be very good at that.
Any situation like this, you want to mess with the heads of the bad guys. You want to mess with the heads of not only the bad guys in that regime, but with their friends elsewhere. You want to put the Chinese on notice. You want to put the Russians on notice. Say, we're going after this regime. If you interfere, that's going to be a problem. So the president wants to put that concern into the calculus of Chinese, Russians, Iran, whoever else.
And the Maduro regime was quick to reply, warning Venezuela's citizens about a CIA-backed coup and pledging peace to the United States.
No al cambio de régimen que nos recuerda tanto a las fallidas guerras eternas de Afganistán, Irak, Libia, y pare usted de contar. No a los golpes de Estado dados por la CIA, que nos recuerda tanto a los 30.000 desaparecidos por la CIA en los golpes de Estado contra Argentina. Listen to me. Not war, jet speeds, the people United States. De parte de the People Bolivarian Republic.
Officials have told the New York Times that the goal of putting intensifying pressure on Venezuela and the country's prominent drug cartels is to remove Maduro from power. But what exactly would CIA operations look like in the South American country?
With the caveat that I wasn't a CIA officer, I was an FBI undercover operative, but I do have a background in counterintelligence. What I suspect from the read of Trump's statements, what he said and what he's refused to say, is that the CIA is focusing on tracking and assisting with the drug cartel interdiction that is happening. I suspect what they are doing is they are helping find these drug smuggling routes, identify the cartel leaders, do some of the mapping of the drug networks, and that intel is then fed to partners, which includes the military ultimately if they're going to decide to take out one of the boats that's purportedly bringing the drugs here to the United States. What they're doing is intelligence, not interdiction. The CIA isn't going to actually perform operations where they're taking out any of these ships or dismantling cartels. They're focusing on intelligence collection, like human sources or signals, even cyber access today. I mean, the CIA can do hacking, or they can get into information that way, but not drug busts. And that typically would be handled by the Coast Guard, or here, a combination of Coast Guard and the military.
After the president's shocking confirmation of CIA clandestine operations, the Maduro regime reportedly offered to provide U.S. companies preferential contracts and access to all existing and future oil and gold projects in Venezuela, as part of a deal discussed with Trump administration officials, according to the New York Times. Trump's response to the supposed deal was swift and to the point.
It's been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to f around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
But some members of Congress from both sides of the aisle haven't been happy with the president's actions against Venezuela.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to denounce the Trump administration's reckless and illegal military escalation in the Caribbean. More than a week after the attack, we have not gotten any clarity whatsoever on the legal authority they relied on to conduct the strike.
In early October, the Senate voted down a resolution 48-51 to stop strikes against the drug trafficking boats off Venezuela's shores under the War Powers Act.
The other thing about these speedboats is they're 2,000 miles away from us. If they have drugs, they're probably peddling drugs to one of the islands of Trinidad or Tobago off of Venezuela. The idea that they're coming here is like, it's a huge assumption, and really shouldn't you have to present some proof? It is the difference between war and peace. In war, though, you don't ask people's name. But if they want all-out war where we kill anybody and everybody that is in the country of Venezuela or coming out, that has to have a declaration of war. It's something that is not pretty, very expensive, and I'm not in favor of declaring war on Venezuela, but the Congress should vote. The president shouldn't do this by himself.
Senators Tim Kaine, Rand Paul, and Adam Schiff are co-sponsoring a second push to force a vote on a War Powers resolution, which requires the president to notify Congress when there is a plan to initiate or escalate military actions abroad. In an interview with Call to Activism's Daily Mic Drop podcast, Kaine said there was a significant likelihood that at least one of the first 4 U.S. strikes against the drug boats was a mistake.
The Coast Guard stats show 1 in 4 ships that the Coast Guard interdicts for suspicion of drug activity has no drugs on it. So there's already a 1 in 4 chance that you're going to stop somebody. It's going to turn out that they don't have drugs.
Colombia's President Gustavo Petro accused the U.S. of murder over a September 15th boat strike in the country's territorial waters. The Colombian president wrote on X that the boat targeted in the strike was a Colombian fishing vessel that was adrift and had its distress signal up due to an engine failure. When announcing the attack, President Trump described the boat strike as killing confirmed narco-terrorists from Venezuela who were in international waters. Trump went on the offensive against Petro on Truth Social, accusing Colombia's president of being an illegal drug leader and very unpopular. The Trump administration announced it was cutting off all subsidies to the Latin American country. On October 19th, War Secretary Pete Hegseth announced the U.S. killed 3 Colombian narco-terrorists in another airstrike on a boat involved in drug smuggling. Those killed were allegedly members of a powerful Colombian insurgent group known as ELN. Hegseth likened the group to Al-Qaeda. Since the Trump administration began striking alleged drug boats in the region last month, at least 31 people have been killed.